Hey, Laura Lively here. Welcome to you and all of your parts. Today, I wanted to talk to you about externalizing your parts and why I think that is such a fabulous thing to do, why I think it's important, and how it helps you get unblended a little bit from your parts. So when you externalize your parts, you are basically saying, these thoughts and feelings are not all of who I am. This is a part of me. And there are so many ways that you could try externalizing your parts, and I strongly recommend that you keep trying until you find one that really works for you. For me, I have found that I've tried lots of different things. I try them so that I can, help my clients with them. I try them so I can help with my own system. And so I thought I would share with you what some of those things I've used and things I've tried and haven't worked, and things that I've tried and have worked. So one of the easiest things, and probably how I started with trying to externalize my parts, was I would just write down a list. I would write part, what its name or function was, and what it needed to tell me. And it was just a list. And I've used things that look like laundry lists, right? Or not laundry lists, excuse me, but like grocery lists, like part, name, what it has to say, part, function, what it has to say, because not all of my parts have names. Sometimes it's just what they are. So for example, I have a taskmaster, and that part makes sure that I pay my bills on time. It makes sure that I am ready for work on time. And so that part is just a taskmaster. I don't call it by any other name because that's its function. Very occasionally, I do have parts that have actual names, but for the most part, my parts tend to be named after their function. Now, lots of people actually name their parts. Cruella, Elizabeth, right? They name their parts. That's how their parts show up to them. So there's no wrong way for your parts to show up. This is why I like the idea of listing, if that's helpful. Now, some people do have parts that they can actually see. And I will tell you, not everybody is visual. Most of the time, my parts show up in my head and I hear a voice, like it's a voice in my head. And probably for the first 2 years that I was doing this work, that's how they always were. So for me, being able to list them out was very helpful. And one thing you might try is create a journal just for your parts. Now I tried this, it did not work for me, but I know lots of people that it does. So like I put the title or the name of the part at the top, and then anytime that part showed up, I would write about it in the actual journal itself. I tried that, didn't work for me. Some people it does work for. Another thing you might do is grab old pictures of yourself, because quite often our parts are us when we were younger, particularly our inner children or our inner teenagers, because I can assure you they are still there. So you might try grabbing some old pictures of you that you found and that could represent your inner children or your inner teenager. Another thing you might do is use pictures from online or magazines to represent your parts. I have some. This has actually been very helpful for me, and so I'm going to share with you some of mine. I think you can see them. So there's a tiny bit of a glare, but this is my blurter part. She overtalks people and blurts. So that's her, Hermione Granger, for anybody who's a Harry Potter fan. Oh, yep. This is a part of me that got to pick peaches out of a tree. This was a part that had been passed to me from my family because they were migrant farm workers and they used to pick fruit all across this country. This is my alcohol drinking part. It looks like a grease monkey. This is my part that's hyper vigilant, always watching. So as you see, these parts, as I'm able to, I'll tell you what, this is funny. This is fun and funny. As I look at these cards and I see these parts, there is like this inner, I don't know, softness and warmth, because the parts like being seen. The parts like to see themselves represented. And that happens whether I'm doing it in a list form, journaling about it. If you're artistic at all and you don't have art wounds around it, you might draw your parts. That might work for you. Another suggestion might be using if you don't like the idea, I use cards because I use a methodology called soul collage. You could also do these online. Another thing you could use is external figurines, and you could use anything, like like some guy like this could be your part. I often use even lipstick as a part. And the purpose of this, again, is to help give you some space so that you can recognize that I am not just my blurter part. It's a part of me. I am not just my hypervigilant part. She is a part of me. I am not just my alcohol drinking part. He is just a part of me. And they feel seen and heard, and I get to recognize that I am more than just this part. There is so many more, plus self-energy. So I hope that you found this helpful. I would love to hear from you how you externalize your parts and if you have found it helpful and if it provides you spaciousness in your system. So drop me a comment. Let me know at laura@lauralively.com. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the new weekly content. And until next time, love to you and all of your parts.